The stream is live.
Live
Yeehaw.
from New York or from San Diego or not.
Wilson is in San Diego this week.
Some guys get all the luck.
Yeah. With Apex Comics. I think he already had a what are those called again? Where he gets in front of people and talks.
Panel.
A panel. There we go. I think he had a panel already. I'm not even sure. Could have been yesterday. I just see his stuff on Facebook.
When's the panels on Friday? Isn't Saturday the best days for panels?
I think so. I have never been to a panel at a Comic-Con. Like every Comic-Con I go to is like a social event for me. I just walk around talking to people I haven't seen in a long, long time.
Donald's here. Hi, Donald.
And so it's like I never occurs to me to go to panels.
Yeah, since I'm usually not in the mood for to be in the autograph lines.
Right.
What makes it for me interesting for a show is to have a panel. So hopefully some people talking about something interesting.
Yeah.
Which usually doesn't mean let's introduce my new book. Go a little further than that.
And this week's Death in Comics.
Oh.
What was his name? Mitch Bird?
Mitch Bird. I don't think I'm familiar.
He drew Guy Gardner in the 90s.
Yeah, that one would not ring a bell.
I think his name was Mitch Bird. I'll double check that, but I just saw him pop up in social medias as having died. I was like, oh, I know that name. Not that I ever read Guy. He drew other stuff too, but that's what he's most famous for, is drawing Guy Gardner Warrior. I think he was only in his early 60s. So.
Yeah, there were a lot of guys in the 90s who didn't make it past the market crash.
Yeah. There was a lot more work in the early 90s than the late 90s.
Yeah, I remember Kevin West was one of the guys who disappeared. Yeah, he did Guardians of the Galaxy after Valentino quit to go to Image.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I remember that name.
And I was watching the Hercules Paddock's channel, and he did a video on one of the first comics, Classics Illustrated.
Okay.
And he was going through the credits, and he saw the name of an editor. What was the guy's name again? Now I forget. Let me check because I forget. Classics Illustrated.
An editor at first?
Yeah, because he wasn't familiar with the editor's name, and he thought he might have been imposed by the owner of the Classics Illustrated trademark.
Ah.
And it doesn't appear to have been.
Just someone passing through First Comics.
Looks like it was, yeah, because he also edited a few issues of Lone Wolf and Cub, which means he was at first.
Where was First Comics? Were they Chicago or something?
Yeah, they were around the lakes, I think. I
have a vague memory of them being in Chicago, but...
Captain Infinity is here. What's up?
Hello there.
Captain Infinity is still adding pages to his book, and it's my fault.
I've got 2 time travel books, comics that I read this week. The first is, I don't have it here because I got it out of the library, but I wrote that it was an adapted novel. It's The Kindred by Octavia Butler, who was famous sci-fi author. And the writer is Damian Duffy and the artist John Jennings. It's from 2018 and it won the Eisner. Who knows who wins these awards?
Yeah,
The
never watched
Babylon
that.
5, which I never watched. And the Kindred, it's sometimes called a sci-fi novel, but it's not. The only sci-fi, I don't even, does like time travel count as sci-fi if there's no science to make the time travel? Because
Yeah.
it's about this woman. First, there's an interracial couple. This woman and her husband. The woman is black, her husband is white. And she, for some reason, slips through time and ends up in like Maryland in 1820. So here's a black woman in the era of slavery, and she sees this little boy and she rescues this little boy. So it's very much about what slavery was like, but it's also when she almost dies because the master goes to whip her, she slips back to her time, and like weeks have passed in 1820, but only minutes have passed in her time or whatever. So she gets to see her husband again. He's like, "What's happening?" Da da da. So the next time it happens, her husband is like hugging her, and he slips through time too. So now we've got a white husband and a black wife, and he has to pretend to be her master. And the whole thing is very much about how violent slavery was and what people have to do just to survive. And it turns out that the little boy she saved was an ancestor of hers, her great 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 grandfather, whatever it is. So, and the next time, and the next time she slips forward through time, her husband's not with her, so he gets stuck in 1820 for like 4 years. The next, because she keeps going back, and the little boy is years older and years older. So he got stuck back, and eventually she finds him again, and he gets to go back forward in time. But she has to like save her ancestor's life a few times, but she's always in danger of being killed or hurt or maimed by whatever white people because she's on a plantation. And in order to save the little boy who grows up to be a slave master, she has to kind of sacrifice she can't be pure because bad things are happening to this. The worst thing that can happen to a slave is they get sold south. Because that means you never get to see your family again, and the conditions are probably worse. So there's a couple of times she has to make she saves the kid who's now a grown up at this time. And she also has to kind of check on to see that her other ancestor is a black woman slave, and their relationship was not consensual between them. So she kind of has to watch out for those. So it's an interesting book, but it's a tough read too, since it's about the horrors of slavery. The Kindred by Octavio Butler, adapted by Damian Duffy and John Jennings. But there was no explanation for the time travel. It was just slip through time.
Well, that's Connecticut Yankee.
Yeah, I guess so.
Time travel to the past is impossible, and therefore it's always science fantasy or fantasy.
This would just be fantasy, I guess. I forget what she called. I think she is a sci-fi author, but this was like her one book where there wasn't, though it's still called sci-fi.
If you have to reverse the polarity, it's science fantasy. No, but it's Connecticut Yankee, and there nothing makes the guy go to the past. And
right.
It's the same thing with Elsbrich de Kemp's response to Connecticut Yankee, Last Darkness Fall. Because the guy the guy's walking, and all of a sudden he's in the middle of Ostrogothic Rome in the 6th century.
What year was Connecticut Yankee? Was
Uh,
that before sci-fi was invented?
well,
If
well,
Jules Verne is the one who invented sci-fi, because I think they credit
Jules
him.
Verne is not the one who invented sci-fi, but
I don't know. I'm just saying
yeah.
back around that time, right?
Well, yeah, it
Was
should be
Connecticut
around,
Yankee before that?
yeah, 1870s, I guess. Missing Mars is here. Hi, Missing Mars.
Good evening.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Mark Twain wrote Connecticut Yankee after or before Tom Sawyer and the Huckleberry Finn.
But either way, it's fantasy, we'll call it,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Even if a sci-fi author writes it, if there's no actual science in it. And another thing that, I think the book was written or came out in 1979, and it takes place in 1976. That's the present for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it also made me realize as I was reading it that 1976 was such a different time than now. In that, I think if you were writing a book from now, somebody went back in time to whatever time, doesn't matter, 1800, wherever. One of the big things would probably be how disconnected they feel. As opposed to 1976, she went back in time and there was nothing. There was no, I'm disconnected from society. She was just adapting to because in 1976, there was no internet, no cell phones. There was nothing to really feel disconnected from, maybe TV and the radio. But I don't think people were as connected to TV and the radio as they are to their phones.
Right, because the TV and the radio are not extensions of yourself. You don't carry them around.
Right.
Yeah, even if you go back in time to a time that you experienced, as you get old, you get used to having the new stuff.
Yeah.
So going back in time, okay, let me pick up my cell. Okay, I need to call somebody. Let me pick up my cell phone. Oh wait, there are no cell phones. I need quarters to find a payphone.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be a big theme, is the feeling of being disconnected from the Matrix.
Right. You actually have to buy newspapers to know what happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Scientific explanations for impossible things is a bit pointless. So Stories got to the Fury. The time machine is Volkswagen Beetle powered by a unicorn. No. It should be a. It should be the Volkswagen Beetle should be powered by schnapps.
The Fuhrer just reminded me of it was a Deadpool story that Scott Koblish drew. That's why I read it. I forget which one. But Deadpool was going through time, and the Fuhrer made an appearance, and Hitler had like all sorts of weapons because time travelers kept going back to try to kill him. And he ended up winning some of the fight. So he had all these weapons from the future. I found that amusing.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen Kung Fury?
Kung Fury. I don't.
Yeah,
it sounds familiar, but I can't. Don't know if I've seen it.
The movie kind of became a short-lived internet sensation because it was posted for free on YouTube about 10 years ago, I guess. What kind of made it famous is that the Swedish filmmaker who did the movie hired David Hasselhoff to sing the main theme because everything it's like it was made in 2011 or 12, but everything about it is in the 80s. So there's a video game arcade, and the guy lives in a high-rise apartment in Miami, and he jumps off the building to, as if he's an action hero, to get into his Lamborghini Countach. 80s can have more of an 80s car, although it came out in 1976. and the guy's a rogue cop who doesn't work with partners, and at the police station he has a fight with the chief. Everything that happened in cop shows in the 80s, and then he starts getting crazy because Hitler's a time traveler and he's a kung fu champion. And the guy's a kung fu champion because his name is Kung Fury, and there's a flashback with the origin story where they kill his partner. A ninja kills his partner, and then he says, "And suddenly, I was struck by lightning and bitten by a cobra." So it's all about being ridiculous. The guy goes back in time. He recruits Viking shield maidens who are riding dinosaurs. He goes back in time to the Viking era, just like that, the Viking era, and everybody speaks English, of course. And he gets attacked by one of the dinosaurs, a laser raptor, because it shoots lasers from its eyes. And he says, "Laser raptors, but I thought they were extinct ages ago." So it's all about being ridiculous.
The other time travel book, turns out, is one I've read before. I got it out of the library. And I think I took it out of the library pre-COVID. It was that long ago. It's Jiro Taniguchi's A Distant Neighborhood. Manga. I think this came out in 1998. And it's reversed to the Western world reading order with the artist's blessing, it says. But it's the story of a guy who accidentally got on a train to his hometown, and when he got off the train, visited his mother's grave, got dizzy, passed out, and when he woke up, he was his 14-year-old self back in time. So it's the story of him, a 42-year-old guy being his 14-year-old self. And of course, I also forgot this is volume 1. So it ends in the middle of the story. And I can't even get volume 2. The library doesn't have volume 2. And it's an expensive if I wanted to buy it. I'm like, no thanks. But it actually got me thinking about if I suddenly went back in time. Let's just say same thing happened to you. You go. Let's not even say you're 14 because that's a little too young. Let's say you're 18. You're the last year of high school. Let's say.
Right.
Would you live your life the same way you lived it, only try to make it better? Or would you try to take a completely different path? I couldn't, because if I were to go back, let's just say I was 18 and going off to college, I could do my college years again and have fun, and I'm a lot more talented than I was at 18, and I'd still have that talent because it's in your brain. So could I make my life better, or do I pick something completely different? Do I go to law school? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
If you were to pick a different path, like I couldn't even think. If I were to pick a different path, what would it be? And if you were going to take the same path, only make it better, what would you do?
Go straight down the betting shop. Yes.
Yeah. Long term, you could probably make money. Long term, you could deal in comic books. You could buy stocks. Long term is not a problem in that situation, I don't think. The problem would be how to get money to buy the stocks. How you'd still have to live a life.
Right.
So and let's just say
because you're still 18 and you don't have the funds.
Yeah.
Just because you have the idea.
Something. I mean, to buy as many Hulk 181s as you can.
Yeah.
If you can somehow get the money to buy an Action Comics #1, you'll be set.
Right. Right.
You can buy
You still
Apple
can't
and
travel.
Microsoft.
Right. You can't go to places that you know where you can make money because you don't have a car, or even if you do, you don't have money for the hotel there.
Yeah.
Little stuff
And
like that.
and how much knowledge would you like? How could you make money in that situation? Do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could some betting is illegal and you'd have to go to Vegas and bet on sporting events, but how much do I really remember?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could bet on the 1986 Super Bowl. That's one thing. I know, the Giants covered the spread and won, but any random game I don't remember. And I certainly don't remember if the team I remember which games the Giants won because I watched them. Generally, I do. I mean, specifically, I'd have to nail, but I don't know if they beat the spread or not. I don't remember the scores in the games.
Right.
So it's like, how would you? I think the easiest way for like me or you to me, well, I don't even know about you because could you buy Hulk 181s in
In
Portugal
97.
in whatever year you were
In
18?
1997, no, I couldn't.
No,
No, the
I
only way I
could.
could have bought Hulk 181 was if I had internet.
Mm-hmm.
And while I did get internet in 1997 as I was going to college, I still didn't know where to find stuff.
Right.
eBay was still new.
But at least you'd know to go to eBay if you just said,
Right.
"Let me check eBay." See, but you'd still need by 1997, it was a pricey book, so you got to
Yeah,
get the money,
I didn't have $500 in 1997.
right? And you'd have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, the money transfer at the time because we didn't have PayPal yet, so I'd have to do an international money transfer, and
Oh
you have to
yeah.
pay fees on that.
So I mean, I think I'd end up doing the same thing, but trying to make it better because I can't think of another path to take. Like, would I really want to go to a whole other school in a whole other profession?
Mm-hmm. And meeting new people and not be ready for them,
Yeah.
because now you may try to remember to build up your network, but
Right.
you would rather build your network with the people you know you're going to meet
Right.
instead of meeting completely different people that you don't know how they are.
Hmm. And would there be jobs that I could go in? Like, it would be 1984 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be jobs or a profession I could go into that would be somehow easily more lucrative? Because if I decided to be a doctor, that's a whole lot of work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy path to take. If I decided to be like a lawyer, what do I know about being a lawyer? Nothing. I'd be right back, to year zero. So it's like, I don't think there were like in 1984, there was no like easy professional path to take.
Right. Right. Even in 97, I couldn't start as a junior reporter at the age of 18
Mm-hmm.
because
You have to go get a degree.
I still have to, even I don't have to go get a degree, but trying to get, I'd have to start as an intern anyway.
Right.
So I'm not going to do all the good stuff. I won't be allowed to do all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That would make my career, and I couldn't be an indie reporter because the internet is still brand new. A lot of people aren't using it.
Right. No internet for me in 1984.
Mm-hmm. You could have a access to CompuServe. You'd have to use the phone lines to get to CompuServe.
Oh, know what I could do? I could like go get a job at Microsoft, but I wouldn't know what year that, because remember how like the early people in Microsoft got stock and all became millionaires at some point?
And what do you do? Graphic design?
I don't know.
Do you
That's
know
just
how
it.
Do you know how to use computer graphics in 1984?
Yeah, I could do that. I could
But
do
you know,
that.
but
Or I
do
could
you
just
do
get
you,
a job as whatever there, I think. I don't know.
hmm,
That might be a way to go.
I'm not sure
But
if
I
the
don't know
janitor.
exactly what year all that happened. And I'd have
I
no
don't.
way of looking it up.
hmm, I don't know if the janitor got
Yeah, I
got
don't know either. I know the secretaries did. I remember hearing that.
started in someone's garage. Yeah,
Yep.
that myth has to go, because a lot of because even Henry Ford had money. His family had a farm, so
Hmm.
he could work on tractors and learn how engines work.
But
Which
would
is very
I
cool.
be able to find that? Well, Apple was already around in 1984 because they had that TV.
Sure.
No, the TV commercial was 1984. What year did it come out? 1984? Yeah, Apple was around in 1984.
I don't know.
So I
People
could
didn't.
go there and get a job, but I
People
don't
didn't
know
really.
if
Apple computers here were not very popular outside a professional crowd. Because if
I'm just
people
saying
who wanted
they
to have a computer at
existed and
home,
I could
yeah,
find them.
sure. And as for Microsoft, people were still using DOS.
Hmm. But they must have been around they were around in 1984.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I'd have to be able to find them.
Mm.
They'd have to exist, and I'd have to be able to find them, which I think I could, because they were big. They were fairly big companies by then, nowhere near as big as they'd eventually become.
But they were in California, and you're in New York State.
Right, I'd have to move across country if I wanted to go that way.
With what money? Because you're 18 years old.
Exactly.
Even if I wanted to jumpstart my sports writing career a couple of years earlier, I couldn't, because I didn't have a car, so I couldn't go to races.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, and if I need to get there at 7 a.m. on a Sunday, there's no buses. They don't operate on Sundays with the same schedules as on work days. So I couldn't do a lot of stuff, even if I wanted to. Microsoft was founded in 1975. Yeah.
There we go. Now I know that. But yeah, wouldn't it? There would be ways to make money, but they're all long term and they take money.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to set up a life in order to do it. And I think the easiest way to set up a life would be just the way we've already done it, only better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I might know how to network better. I might try different things.
Yeah, startup cash.
Exactly.
And then you go back in time, and you're used to thinking of cash in current day terms.
Right.
And you stuff. Hey, could I have $2,000? 2,000 in 1984. $2,000 could do. Yeah, did your parents make $2,000 a month?
I used to make let's see. I used to make $3.35 an hour. So I'd be working over 40 hours to make $100 when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But with no overhead, I could make $100 a week. Clear. So it would take me just 20 weeks, which would be the entire summer, to save up $2,000.
But over here in 97, I couldn't, because in 97, it would take me about 3-4 years to save up $2,000. $235 and 81.
Yeah, it was, I think, 83 I got my first job as a dishwasher, and by then minimum wage was $2.35 an hour, and they certainly haven't raised it $1 a year since then. I believe it's at like $7.25 an hour. How crazy is that?
Mm-hmm.
Some states have made their own minimum wage $15 an hour because the feds ain't interested. Yeah, but that guy, like that's what I was thinking about with time travel in this book for a few days. I'm like, how would I do that?
No space to pay 15 an hour to start.
Yeah, I think that's the new New York minimum wage.
But it's statewide.
Yeah, I think so, which still isn't a ton of money. Certainly not. And it was a big week at the comic shop for me with another 11 comics this week. Like, whoa. I think my next slow week is the first week in August when I've only got 4. Other than that, like the whole summer, I've got 10 books a week. I'm like, that's crazy. But they're all mini series too. But I keep adding mini series, keep ending, and I keep adding new ones, or at least trying them. Like I got a first issue this week, but this is one I've been buying. Sire Aftermath. This is the one Mike Books 20th anniversary. Mike Dolce is a guy I used to play touch football with in the Marvel Wizard touch football games. I don't think he worked for either. He was a friend of Mike Raich, who worked for Marvel. And he wrote this. He didn't draw it. It's drawn by he draws sometimes. Andres Barrero. Colors by Beez Studio. Beezzz. And it's a solid comic. I buy it mostly to support Mike, but it's a solid comic. It's kind of the earlier ones really had sort of a 90s theme. This one not so much, but I guess plot wise, it really has a 90s theme because it's a superhero book. And in this one, the sire had, let me see, I think it says it's part 14. Where does it? Because even though it's issue, he keeps doing miniseries, chapter 14. So even though he keeps doing miniseries, it's really the 14th issue. I think I probably have half of them. Because he does a lot of Kickstarters for them, but I end up only getting them when they're in the comic shop. But the sire is this guy who's got a super suit that forces him to fight evil. And in this particular one, though, I think they just finished like a big story crossover thing. So like he's teaming up with a bunch of other superheroes, and somehow, as part of the end of that story, sort of like the Celestials were coming to judge Earth in the Eternals. The sire somehow set off this flare, and now this alien race is coming to Earth to judge Earth. And all the other superheroes are like, that's not good. So I guess that's what's going to happen in the aftermath. But it's a fun book. Probably one you can't find everywhere. Very small press. I thought I pre-ordered it, but then it showed up on the shelf. And I picked one up. Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, looks like the future of Marvel reprints is going to be outside of Marvel, because Hank Canals, he's in charge of Clover Press, and they just got the rights to publish new Masterworks.
Ah, okay.
Because Marvel had stopped doing Masterworks
last year. That's because all the stuff left isn't really Masterworks. I think there's been a diminishing returns on those.
Right. But there was things that I think they wanted to have complete collections.
The thing is, I know there's people out there who will still buy some.
Right, because like they announced a Tomb of Dracula volume.
Okay.
And the problem with Masterworks, they're half the size of an Epic collection.
Yeah.
In terms of pages.
10 issues,
right?
usually.
So it takes longer to get stuff published.
Right.
You can do the whole of Tomb of Dracula in 4 epics, which means you need 8 masterworks.
And they were done in 2 omnibuses, also.
Right. Yeah. Although I think that they attract different audiences.
Yeah, yeah. And as Eric Larson says, everyone's all over Masterworks volumes 1 and 2, but the time 6 comes out, you're losing money.
Right. So what Canals did is going to launch the new ones in variant editions, one with the number in trade drafts for the people who want a collection, and another one just with the name and subtitle for anybody just picking up something to read. So I hope they're thinking about mainstream distribution, which is the thing that they never worry about.
Yeah, I don't know how Clover's Press's distribution is. So Marvel's fun. Like, does anyone really need a Ms. Marvel Masterworks from the 70s?
Right.
I know they've come out with it. I know it exists, but
right, it fits into epics, and they're both a little smaller than usual, because in order to, it's too large for one epic. Otherwise, you'd have to have a 750 page epic. But then it's too small because they don't reach 400 pages.
That's one of the mediocre 1970s Marvels that I don't think they're, though people might want the key issues, the key issue collectors still want them, but they don't want Masterworks. They want the key issues. So I don't know how many people are buying, Ms. Marvel from the 70s Masterworks to actually read them. I think that audience is very small.
Right. And besides, it's not Chris Claremont's best work, even after he takes over the writing from Jerry Conway.
No.
When you read a lot of Marvel from the 70s, you figure out that Jerry Conway is very standard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not much to say about his writing. It's just there. That was always my sort of attitude as a kid, was that someone has to write it so I can see the art.
Right.
And a lot of times the writing wasn't very good.
Now, in the Facebook group about the epic collections, they announced 4 in the beginning of the week. I can't remember what they were. But somebody asked about why don't they make a Human Fly collection?
Besides, no one's interested?
Right. I don't know. I think some people would want it. There's definitely people who would want it for the novelty factor.
Yes.
I'm not sure there's enough of them.
Hey, you're talking to the person who's got a 2.0 Human Fly #1 CGC.
Yeah. Right. But do you want to spend $50 on a complete Human Fly epic collection?
No. I still have my issues, and there's no real reason for me to even have them, but they're there.
Right. But now the Human Fly was a licensed property.
Yeah.
The thing is,
was it a licensed property or a collaboration, I wonder?
Well, the design and trademark belonged to the guy.
Okay, so then it's licensed. I just wasn't sure,
because he did actual stunts as the Human Fly.
But that doesn't. Yeah, I guess it does. I mean, because I imagine there could be such a thing as a collaboration that way. I don't know how that series ever came about, because no one ever heard of the Human Fly when that comic came out.
Right. Right. He was an Evel Knievel wannabe.
Probably Roy Thomas. He'll take credit for it, even if he had nothing to do with it. Just like Star Wars.
Right. Well, Shooter himself said that it was Roy Thomas's idea. So
Human Fly or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Well, the guy who brought Star Wars to Marvel said it wasn't Roy Thomas's idea. He recently came out in the last 10 years and was like, what? Roy Thomas had nothing to do with it. I brought Star Wars to Marvel and made the deal. So Roy Thomas actually had nothing to do with getting Star Wars to Marvel, despite him saying he did. He might have been the one who met the guy in the office. Who knows? Mm. But someone else brought Star Wars to Marvel. That story has come out over the years.
Okay. But the thing with the Human Fly, where I'm trying to get, is that the guy who came up with the identity is probably dead by now. His official identity was never confirmed.
Ah.
I think Marvel, if they wanted to, they could publish a Human Fly Happy collection without having to pay any royalties.
Huh. I'm trying to think of all of the 70s Marvel stuff that's in Masterworks that I would not want. Nova. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dazzler. Well, that Dazzler's early 80s, right?
Dazzler's early 80s, yeah. And
yeah.
They actually published that. They published everything in Essentials back in the day.
Yeah.
But it fits in two, so.
The poor man's Masterworks. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else would I not want? She-Hulk, that was 79, I think it started.
Yeah, yeah.
No thank you there. Don't need a Masterworks of that.
Marvel Mediocre Works.
Yeah, there we go. There's a good name for it. There was a lot of mediocre. But like, I think also like the mediocre stuff from like Hulk and Spider-Man from like the late 70s all got in Masterworks, but I don't think there's that many people interested in it. Mm-hmm. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't think there's
a ton of interest. They'd probably be more inclined to buy the epics. And in that case, it would be people who read those comics when they were kids.
And want to read them again.
Yeah, and they had to sell the collection or something.
And don't need a premium format.
Right.
They'll take a big 20-issue chunk.
Yeah, because that's probably how long they stayed in the title.
You're right.
2 to 5 years, which means they can buy 2 or 3 epics with everything they liked.
And be done with it.
Yeah. But in the Masterworks, yeah, I agree. I think that the original Tomb of Dracula series might be interested in as a Masterworks if we're talking 70s stuff. Probably Steve Englehart's Doctor Strange.
The problem with the Tomb of Dracula, too, is the first volume is the least interesting volume, the first 10 issues. So that could put people off.
Yeah. Well, it's that thing that I always say. The origin story is usually the character's least interesting story.
Yeah. Because all origin stories are the same. Mm-hmm. First, you weren't this thing, something happened, and then you were this thing. That's all there is to it.
My father figure was murderer. No! I shall avenge him and bring justice to all who deserve it. That means I'm going to start wearing my underwear on the outside. There. There's the origin story.
The origin story.
Which is why I can't stand superhero movies, because everybody wants to do the origin story.
I know.
Especially when we're talking Batman and Superman. Even if they're not always doing reboots of the movies, there's TV series. There's been TV series. There's been cartoon series. Everybody's seen the Waynes getting gunned down, and Jor-El and Lara putting baby Kal-El in the goddamn rocket. Okay, let's be done with that, please.
Here is a comic I got this week, another #1 to try out that I really wanted to like, but it has kind of the complete opposite problem. This is Terminal. the new superhero story. Writers Robert Kirkman and Joe Casey. Andy Kubert's the artist. Dave McCraig is the colorist, and Russ Wu-Tan is the letterer. Mm-hmm. And they were calling this kind of an X-Men type book. And the main problem I had with it was pretty generic and bland. It's like kind of the coming in the middle of a 90s X-Men story. There's already a million characters. I think there's sort of the equivalent of like the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I'm not even sure. And in the first issue, they did that Lost thing that Lost didn't do, where the whole issue was about it's extra large. This woman right here. And once again, I'm so tired of somebody's journal. Give me thought balloons again. I am so tired of narration. Superhero narration is the most tedious stuff in the world. Batman's, journal, Punisher's journal. Everybody's writing a journal, and I got to read it. And so it's all, look at all that. I just, stop it. Stop it. I don't need that much journal writing. Give me thought balloons again. I wish thought balloons would come back in style. Oh, some nice behind the scenes work. Look, I didn't even look at that. And I found the art. I mean, Andy Kuber's artwork isn't bad. I just find it generic. So we follow this woman as she terminal, I guess is the name of it. And then they have this giant eye is kind of a mixture of Professor X and Cerebro. And the big eye is what gives the people their powers. But it turns out the woman we've been following all along wasn't worthy. So she dies. She didn't have enough belief. Oh, she possessed belief, but not enough. Her blessing was denied. So the character we've been following all issue, who's supposed to be like our stand-in, writing in her journal, dies by the end. So now I don't know anybody who's in this book. So it's just like, I really wanted to like it. But it ended up being sort of a bland 90s X-Men. I might give it another issue just to see. But I was very disappointed in that.
Mm-hmm. So it's Andy Kubert doing something we've already seen Andy Kubert do.
Yeah. I haven't read that much.
The art didn't look... Yeah, well, I did read Andy Kubert on the X-Men.
Yeah.
So even then, that does not look like the best Andy Kubert I've ever seen.
There's nothing wrong with it that I can point out, except it seems bland. And maybe that could just be the story's bland. The whole thing seemed more bland than I wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. There was very little, and it also had, again, the opposite of the origin problem, where I was thrown into this comic where there's already established two big, huge teams with all this stuff going on between them. But I have no emotional involvement with any of them. They're just sort of ciphers. And there was nothing interesting to grab me. The one woman who we followed the whole time was dead by the end. Okay, was that supposed to be shocking? Oh, but I couldn't stand her journal writing anyway. Oh my! Like I said, I am completely sick of narration in superhero comics, and especially, like I said, journal narration. It's like, oh.
What 70s Marvel title with a 20-issue high-quality hardcover best serve? X-Men, Avengers, Defenders.
So at least with those, like Paolo was saying before, people would buy the stuff that they bought when they were a kid and got rid of it.
Which means the epics are better.
Yeah, but X-Men, of course, the Byrne X-Men is good. The Perez Avengers, Defender. I liked some of the Defender stuff, but I wouldn't say I need it in hardcover. But yeah, I think the problem is the epics are better. You're right.
Mm.
Do you really need them in hardcover? Only how much? I mean, the Masterworks are $75 now, right?
I don't even know.
I think so. So, and they're 10 issues. So if you and I think the Epic collections are 50 now.
Yeah.
So
And they're 20 something.
What was that?
And they're 20 something issues.
Yeah. So you could get 20 issues for $50, or you could get 20 issues for $150.
Right.
I mean, it's no contest. That's the problem.
And the Masterworks aren't even oversized, so it's not like you're looking at the art.
Right.
You just have
right.
a hardcover.
So I think you have to be a hardcore Masterworks collector to want the Masterworks in this, which explains why Marvel is giving them up.
Mm-hmm.
Has DC put any out in years?
Archives, no. Oh no, Archives are long gone.
Yeah.
DC gave up on Archives way before Marvel gave up on Masterworks.
But DC started coming out with their stuff.
Overarching service. So I think I'm having an origin. They're going to setting up their own version of X-Men. So yeah.
Yeah. They got their own. It is their own version of the X-Men. I think the problem is I didn't like that version of the. I'm not a fan of the '90s X-Men at all. So I'm not a fan of now X-Men either. But so
or
everybody my problem.
Yeah, or everybody in the '90s doing their own version of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Disco coming back.
This might be if you're a '90s X-Men fan, this might be right up your alley.
Yeah. Captain Infinity can't stand narration or thought balloons, strictly speech bubbles.
I'm okay. I'm okay with thought balloons. They're all right. If done right, they're fine. But the style is so old now that it's like it's tough to do it. No one knows how to do them. But like those captions could have been thought balloons, because I think one of the strengths of comic book storytelling is that you can read what a character is directly thinking. That I think is a strength. Doesn't always work with captions.
Right. It worked for a while. There's definitely room for omniscient narration or exposition or expositional descriptions.
Right.
Because they're in prose, in fiction, in fiction prose, and comics got away from fiction prose to become more like movies. And I think we ended up losing some ways to convey information. Same on screen. Fuck Dexter. Kirk and Captain's longest fan because he's talking to a recorder.
Yeah.
The thing is, Dexter's pretty unlikable, and when unlikable people talk to themselves, they expose their flaws as human beings.
I'm not against narration in general. I'm against narration in like mainstream superhero stories, because I've just read so much of it, and it's usually not that interesting. It's usually
the Taniguchi book. How much narration did it have?
No, it was mostly. Oh, it had some. It was mostly talking. It had some narration. It had some TV info that they're giving us, just like info of the time of what was happening. And then it had some of it. It had, there were no word balloons, but sometimes he was thinking to himself. So that's either narration or thought balloons. I don't know what you want to call it. That could go either. I'd call them thought balloons, but it could also be, because sometimes thought balloons are just narration.
Right.
But these are more thought balloons. The school I went to is at the front of Utspuki Mountain. It's about a 10-minute walk from my house. He's just thinking that to himself as he's walking.
Right, but that's a good. That's description, environmental description, which you'd have in prose, where you'd say the school is a 10-minute walk from the whatever mountain. Okay. And in a movie, you can't have that unless they have those when they have military action, when they have the uh, Baghdad, Iraq, 2:35 Zulu time, and it comes in as a computer prompt because it's always as a computer prompt.
Yeah, like at the end of the chapter, they give us a little thought, which is once again just that floating. For a moment, I was struck by a dizzy spell. I had just subtly changed the flow of my 14-year-old time. If that was the case, then what in the world was going to become of the events in my future? Just him thinking out loud, like anybody would be finding themselves being 14 years old again. So I would guess those are thought balloons. They're him thinking out loud. They work as a. There's nothing unusual about it. Let me see what he was saying in these captions in this one. I don't even remember. She's saying, I think that they're doing the journal thing. Sometimes I feel like she's close. Other times my sister feels so far away. At this point, finding her has completely taken over my life. Even keeping this diary only reminds me of how crazy this is. It's cost me friends, my job, and little of myself. So this is just an info dump. It's just an info dump about her personality. So many dead ends, so many blind alleys, literally a needle in a haystack. Once again, that's figuratively. But I won't stop looking, not until I find her. That writing is all telling and not showing.
Right.
They're trying to establish her character by her telling us about herself in her journal.
Do you know what? There's no point in actually locking your diary, because people are going to read it and they're going to be bored in 1 minute.
They're like, people don't read, especially these days. 10-minute walk. I'm glad to know that.
Well, it helps you understand where things are in the place that they're describing.
Mm-hmm.
Deckard's wife used to call him sushi. I feel so.
Yeah, like that narration was all shortcut to us getting to know the character who's going to die at the end of the issue. Speaking of not being able to read it, where is it? This is the final issue of Swamp Thing 88, issue 91. And I liked the other 3 issues. I couldn't even get through this one. It may be because they decided to have one of the main characters red on black type. And I was just like, I am not straining to read that. I don't care. And this one was kind of also him just explaining his adventure to Abby and how he got back. Spectre showed up. I don't know. I couldn't even tell. Like I said, I flipped through pages, and then there was a happy ending. But I gotta say, the red on black type, I didn't even bother to read, and I think that probably didn't help me not liking. I liked the other 3 issues. I did not like this 4th one. Hola, sleepy reader.
Hello.
That's always disappointing when the 4th issue of something.
Right. Were these all plots that were already done?
Yeah.
And now, okay.
These were all. He originally had a 4-issue story, Swamp Thing 88 through 91.
Right.
I don't know if he scripted them all.
Yeah. I was wondering if there's a sense of finality, of closure, because the story's ending now, and he wanted something that ended now.
I don't know if he could have changed the ending a bit. He could have. Maybe that's why I didn't like this last issue as much, because he had to, because it would have just continued into the next issue if it was then.
Right.
But here he came up with an ending, a happy ending for it, where he's explaining the story. That was a little strange.
I still think you can do some of these experiments. When Howler Mouse did the video on Elsewhen, I kind of suggested in the chat that it would be nice to have Stern and Byrne getting together to do the Red Skull story arc that Jim Shooter didn't let them do.
I just don't think that Byrne would ever want to work with a writer.
Well, Roger Stern's a friend. So.
I know, but he's just been writing his own stuff for so long that I mean, he could. I'm not saying I know, but that would seem to me to be a stumbling block.
The last guy that's the last writer that Byrne worked with was Stern, which was in that Marvel Lost Generation miniseries. Remember that? Oh,
Stern wrote that?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe
it's the last comic of old Marvel.
Yeah.
It's the last one that's written as if it's a Marvel comic in the traditional style of the 70s and 80s, and it came out in '98. And
hardly anyone paid attention to it, but Byrne fans.
Yeah, because there were continuity implants, and none of the characters and all of the characters were new. That's why people didn't care. If they had been new characters appearing now, some people might care because it's the new #1. So people might expect, yeah. But when you're doing a mini series set in the past as a continuity implant with characters that won't appear, don't appear in regular continuity, which probably means they're all going to die, and you number it 12-1. Everything.
Well, that's right. That counted down.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, and I did try reading it from 1 to 12 because the POV character is going back in time. But if we read it from 1 to 12, she's going forward in time. We're going forward. She's going forward from our perspective. It's the other guys who keep going back until the.
Did it read well from 1 to 12 as well as 12 to 1?
Not quite. You can still understand the story. It's 12 to 1. It's the story of the superhero team that never existed, and 1 to 12 is the story of the time traveler trying to figure out what happened in her time that she needed to correct.
That's an ambitious undertaking. Trying to make it work both backwards and forwards.
I don't think they tried to do it that way, but it worked. It works from that character's POV. Well,
okay.
I guess because I'm pretty sure that Stern and Byrne wanted us to like the characters.
Yeah.
The other ones there just to act as the reader's eyes, but they I guess they wanted us to like the characters because maybe then they could come back. No, you can't correct anything exactly, and Byrne should know that because
right.
he used to do what ifs.
Can't correct anything, can't break anything.
No, you create an alternate timeline.
Do.
Well, what I've been reading right now, I finally decided that I'm going to try and finish Starstruck. I restarted from the beginning because the problem.
I read it a few years ago when that big hardcover volume came out.
Yeah, this is very, very dense, and it doesn't progress in a linear fashion.
No, it's disjointed. It wasn't meant to be one big story.
Right. And I don't even understand exactly how they published this originally, because this reprints the remastered editions that IDW had put out. So there's new material inside.
I think that's the one I have.
Mm-hmm.
I say it came out a few years ago. Could be 10 or 15 years ago. Right?
Yeah, this is 2010, I think. Yeah. Well, it is the 90s were 10 years ago. Yeah, 2012. The 90s were always 10 years ago. We're stuck in Groundhog Day. Every day is a new day in the 21st century, but nothing happens in only the 90s. The 90s matter.
Because the 2000s and the 2010s have no feel for me.
Right. I wonder if the millennials and the Zoomers, if the 2000s and 2010s, they have any meaning for them.
I think so. I've seen little videos about it, about fashion and stuff, but I haven't seen a lot of nostalgia for it.
Yeah, I don't even understand because there's no dominant fashion. You know that the 90s had the 90s had the crazy pompadours, and the 80s had the mullets, and the 70s had the afros and the long hair. And it's the same with clothing. You notice, okay, this is 90s clothing,
Yeah,
80s.
I've seen people make videos on why there's no distinct fashion like there used to be. Can't remember their answer. That and some of it is fast fashion. I don't know if you've heard of that. Fast fashion is what they call. It used to be there was a fall and a spring season for fashion, and then the like department stores would be behind that.
Right.
But now they can make clothes so fast that they can put out a whole new style in a matter of months. So now all of a sudden you have to buy there's new clothes for this summer, winter, spring, and fall, which is why there's so much clothes in landfills now. That's one of the thing about fast fashion is the clothes are made quickly. They're not made as well. And there's such turnover in fashion that there's no distinct style. The distinct style comes and goes.
90% of all my clothes are over 15 years old.
90% of my clothes are from the 90s now, since I've been buying those Tommy Hilfiger shirts from the 90s.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, Tim and I have discussed this in the early days of our show, where it really was true, because he grew up in Virginia and I grew up in the suburbs of New York City. And it really was true that the rest of the country was a year or two behind New York City in the area.
Right.
So like things that I knew about, he didn't know about till 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist anymore. Everything's instant now. So like fashion and trends used to start in New York and LA and then slowly make their way out to the rest of the country. So it took a while for 80s fashion to get out there, 90s fashion to get out there, 70s fashion to get out there. But now with fast fashion, everything is everywhere all at once. And it's different 3 months from now.
I guess that's the reason why we can't remember storylines, because they don't go anywhere.
Huh.
Jared's shirt color is 100% the exclusive color to vintage outboard interior kitchens and living rooms.
You gotta show you my matching.
I don't have a shirt in that color, but I know lots of people who do.
Mint green striped shorts with little motorcycles on them. So I got the whole mint green outfit going on here.
Yeah, I have a blue polo. Actually got these for when we were supposed to have a TV channel. I was going to wear this on camera, but turns out I mostly wore this off camera.
A good number one issue. No surprise, because it's volume 2. Patrick Zurcher's Solomon Kane. What's the name of this one? The Lion Errant. Patrick Zurcher's a terrific artist. He's writing this too. Nice map, because in this one, Solomon Kane goes to India So he gets to draw all this old India fashion and architecture. Mm-hmm. And it looks terrific. Whoop. There's Solomon Kane getting into a sword fight at sea. And where's some more India? There we go. The storytelling is solid. The artwork is terrific. There's a lot to look at. I love the reference. I assume he referenced all this India stuff, because why wouldn't you? I think these go 4 issues.
India in the 17th century is not that easy to reference.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff that's still there.
Sure.
So I assume that's what he's drawing.
If you take your, if you take your time, you can.
But terrific. I liked this better than the first issue of the first series, which I enjoyed.
I gotta expel the cat out of here. Leave my stuff alone, cat. Say hi to cat. Hi, cat.
And get that cat out of here.
Yeah, the cat. The cat's nice and all, but he doesn't like to be held.
Have you seen Steve Martin's The Man with Two Brains?
No.
It's a funny movie, cheesy humor. It's from the 80s, I think. But he invents the cranial screw top method of transferring brains, where he just unscrews someone's head. And whenever he's performing surgery, a cat will go by and meow, and he'll go, and get that cat out of here.
Yeah, I don't mind having the cat here, but he opens the door, and then I want to wake up my parents, because I have to leave the door open for him to leave.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Steve Martin's Two Brains.
Yeah, Man with Two Brains. Good. I haven't watched that one in a while, but I watched it many times in the 80s and into the 90s, I think, when it used to run on HBO or something.
I don't know. I never found Steve Martin to be that funny.
He's good in this. And I believe, let's see, who was it? In the background of sort of the story going on there was a serial killer that didn't have to do with the main story. But it was just sort of going on in the background of whatever was going on in the movie. And then at the end, Merv Griffin ended up being the serial killer. He injected people with Windex. I think that was the way he killed them. Huh.
Check out his Dead Man Don't Wear Plaid.
I remember I liked The Man with Two Brains better, but that one was all right. That one was a spoof of hard-boiled Private Eye movies. I'll have to watch that one again.
Yeah, I remember I loved
seen it in a long time.
I loved watching The Three Amigos when I was a kid. It was on TV here last year, and I tried watching it, and no, I can't.
I was not a Three Amigos fan. That was for kids.
Yeah.
But The Man with Two Brains is definitely not for, like, it's one. I mean, kids could watch it, but the sense of humor was so weird that I don't know if they'd get it.
Interspersed sexual footage from.
Oh, okay. That's the Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. Okay.
Okay.
They used to run that one on PBS, if memory serves.
Can't imagine that. In the meantime, I don't know what I'm gonna read next after I'm done with this. I can sometimes I read like 2 pages. Other times I can read like 12 pages in a row. It doesn't have anything to do with the size of the chapters, because most of them are pretty small. There's one here with some Space Force fighter. Her whole squadron dies, and that thing lasted for like 7 pages. That took a while to read. I don't know what I'm gonna pick up next.
That one was one you read a story, you put it down, you read. I remember, that was, like I said, since it's not all meant to go together. It wasn't one that I read altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that specifically. I read quite a bit this week because I was exhausted. I've been doing so much learning to do bookbinding
Mm-hmm.
that I've been like working on whatever art thing I'm working on from 8 a.m. till like 1 or 2 p.m. and then doing bookbinding from like 2 p.m. till 8 at night. And I'm just not that young anymore. Like, so after like 8 days of doing that, I'm like, oh, holy cow, I think I'm exhausted. So it was like one day this week, I'm like, I'm just going to sit and read for a while. So I spent half the day reading and resting. I got to remember, I can't do that. It's the bookbinding that threw me off because I know I can't, like I used to in my youth. I'd work from 8 a.m. till 8 at night on artwork or whatever. I know I can't do that anymore. But the bookbinding is sort of different than it's like a craft rather than an art, so it doesn't take the same kind of energy. Mm-hmm. But it ended up using up my energy nonetheless. Just a different type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm attempting to write a history of the Indy 500 as a round of the world from the Formula One World Championship, and I have to spend 1 or 2 hours researching for one sentence. Because I'm trying not to write too much. It's already on 4,000 pages. I'm up to 1958, so it was a round of the Formula One Championship from 1950 to 1960, which meant that I had to write 3 whole paragraphs on things that happened between 1900 and 1950 before I started 1950. Then it ends in 1960, which means I'm going to have 6 paragraphs after that, going all the way up to 1993, which is when I'm actually stopping. And I have to research all that because then I have to give everything context.
Now, when you write something like that, do you write a bunch and like notate where you have to do some research? Or do you write up until you have to do some research and then go do some research and then go keep writing? Or do you do like the research at the end of a certain amount of writing?
And no, I go do the research immediately.
Okay.
Because that influences what I'm going to have to talk about on the next sentence.
That makes sense. I just wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. Never having done something like that before.
I've been having some issues with a specific race that happened in 2 editions in 1957 and 58, because it's the one that has a bigger story to it, but it's the harder to put into context. So I'm getting stuck there.
Sleepy says a surefire bestseller.
No, it's going to go on my Substack. I finally renamed my Substack.
And I don't know if you saw, I put out a video this week on Jay Lee's M1 Monster Racing League, just going over the artwork of it. So Dan, I forget Dan's last name now. He's a newer YouTuber, but he left me a bunch of messages about it because he's a big Jay Lee fan. And he left me a message about Stephen King's The Dark Tower, which I didn't realize Jay Lee drew the first 5 volumes of.
Oh.
So I took this out of the library.
Covers. I think I remember covers, but I don't remember him drawing so much.
Yeah, he drew. I read the first issue. He drew all of that. Oof. And this was one I can remember when this was first announced like 20 years ago, that they were going to be adapting, The Dark Tower. And I was like, you know what? Maybe when it's all finished being adapted, I'll read it. Of course, it was never finished being adapted, and I haven't, but I'm going to read some of it. I'll read whatever. I think there's a second omnibus, too, that Jay Lee has nothing to do with. This one is... Oh, I think is this all Jay Lee? I think it might be. Beginnings, the complete plotting and consultation, Robert, script, Peter David, art, Jay Lee, and Richard Eisenhoff, who's the colorist. Then there's The Sorcerer, which is art, Richard Eisenhoff, and The Fall of Gilead, art, Richard Eisenhoff. So I don't know. I don't know how much. This looks like Jay Lee all the way to the end. Richard Eisenhoff. No, that. If it's Richard Eisenhoff at the end, he's swiping Jay Lee. I'm not sure because he's a color. He may have just done some pieces at the end too.
Right. Yeah, because I remember him being a colorist.
Yeah. But I read the first issue in it just before the show, as a matter of fact, and it was a solid first issue.
That seems to be a good bridge between his style in the Inhumans and his style in what he's doing now.
Yeah. Dan had all sorts of comments on his different styles.
Right. Exactly, because Jay Lee does not look at all like when he was in the early 90s when he did Namor and the X Factor.
I think he referred to it as his scratchy style in the beginning.
Yeah.
This stuff here is his inky style. And then like M1 Racing is more lightweight, more feathery. Not that there's feathering in it, but the line is kind of lightweight,
right?
Like a feather.
You can kind of tell that he's inking with a brush instead of a pen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And like I said, the M1 Racing, the layouts in it are so different. Like he's doing traditional layouts in this so far,
Right.
That M1 Racing, he's just going crazy. He's trying all sorts of stuff with the light. There's not a rectangle to be found in that book.
Right, because in Inhumans, it's kind of a cinematic, but it's that dark style.
Very chiaroscuro, they call it.
Yeah.
Dark to light. That is what made the Inhumans was what made me really like Jay Lee's art.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. After that, that's the series that made me go, "Oh, I like this."
And you don't see many artists who have a completely different style after 30 years in the business.
No, most artists find their way of drawing and keep drawing that way. There's very few. Frank Miller's probably one of them who evolved over time.
Right. You can see the evolution.
Yeah,
you can also see the evolution in Jay Lee, but there's a.
I think you can. We just didn't pay that much attention.
Right.
Because there's a lot. He's done so much varied stuff here or there.
Yeah, right. But even Mike Kaluta, Starstruck is not the same as the Shadow.
Right. But I think that he just got better.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of artists who just get better. Most don't. But there are a few who, like Kirby's a perfect example.
Yeah.
40s Kirby is different than 50s Kirby, different than 60s Kirby, different than 70s Kirby. He's one of those guys who changed over the years.
But you can tell there's a way of drawing that technique that he already had back even in 1940.
Oh yeah, he was good. But what I'm saying, he evolved over it. Most like Neil Adams never evolved. Some people will say he devolved.
Yes, and Neil Adams kind of depends on who's inking him.
Right. John Byrne never evolved. Some people will say he devolved.
It did not devolve. He learned how to be more. Learned economy when drawing. I used to have I gave it away, a graphic novel, which was kind of a James Bond stand-in. I think IDW may have been trying to get the James Bond license, and Byrne did a story, but the character was not called Bond. And I was looking. Yeah, there's definitely fewer lines here, but the storytelling's all there. But yeah, it's Byrne. You can tell that it's Byrne. It's not fundamentally different from what he was doing on at Marvel or DC.
George Perez got better, but never evolved.
No,
I don't think.
and there's strategic art style like
Yeah.
Hurt Trinkers, but they follow the house style because working for Marvel, there's a certain house style that you have to maintain. I suppose you could say that. Well, of course you can say that. Barry Windsor Smith on Monsters, which I have to finish. Go back to trying to reading him. I have to go from the beginning again. So
Barry Windsor Smith got better. I don't know if he evolved.
Oh, he evolved.
Could be. I mean, he hasn't done a ton of stuff.
No, he hasn't. But and I suppose that allows him to figure out the best way to draw something. Because all of these guys that we've been talking about, Perez, Byrne, Adams, they're in the grind.
Yeah.
So they figure out how to keep drawing, and Windsor Smith stops and figures out how to do. This is not.
You're right, because that is different than his '90s stuff with Dark Horse.
Right.
What was the name of that oversized series?
Storyteller.
Where'd you go? You disappeared completely from my screen.
Yeah, because the big books they don't fit into these shelves, so they have to go on the lower shelves, and they're horizontal. They're not vertical.
How does that have to do with you not being on a screen?
I just lower myself like this. I got to watch in real time with Batty Smith. Yeah, issue. Yeah, definitely. I mean,
your camera isn't on screen.
Oh, no, you are.
Okay. I was just wondering where you went.
Okay.
Yeah. But he got better. I mean, I don't necessarily count someone's first 24 issues because they're just young and getting better. No doubt about that. I'm kind of like his from where he ended off in 24 till overtime. Sure. But yeah, I think he definitely evolved.
When he got back and he did Red Nails, it was better than anything he had done in the 70s. Right. And the storytelling was different, and the way he drew figures was different. So he does adapt to what he needs. You notice it's like that Wolverine, that X-Men story that's all about Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike. He did something because he was also coloring. He did something completely different to what he had done in Red Nails, just as it was different from the story where Storm meets Forge for the first time, which is the first Life Death story.
It's just when I see that much jump in a guy's first 2 years, to me that's not an evolution, that's him learning and applying himself.
Yeah, but even Gil Kane did that.
Yeah. No one likes their first job, but
yeah. 62 Lefty Blues as well of Barry Windsor Smith Storyteller. Send him the last two. That's cool.
Nice.
His work in Conan Saga shows how much BWS improved from the comics. Yeah, he spent a lot of time in advertising before he got back into comics, and you bring tricks from advertising that you usually don't think about. So usually doing something in a different medium, when you come back, you get to show off what you learn. But yeah, Barry Windsor Smith is different
now.
And David Mazzucchelli, of course.
Would you say Walter Simonson evolved or got better?
Walter Simonson got better.
I think so.
You can tell it's Simonson even in the 70s.
In the early stuff.
Yeah, even when he's doing Manhunter and Hercules Unbound, I guess. Never saw much Hercules Unbound, but is a lot rougher in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Even that when he did a few issues of Thor for back in the 70s that were inked by Tony DeZuniga, you notice it's Walter from the layouts because DeZuniga drowned the style.
Right.
But then the rest it's in getting better. So when he does, I have the Star Slammers here. He did Star Slammers slightly different because it was his stuff. So he was doing it in a different time scale than what he was doing in Thor. But it's Walter. You recognize it easily. And what he did later in the 90s with the Fourth World stuff, it's still Walter. And even what I have there with Ragnarok, it's still Walter. But it's just getting better. Mazzucchelli's evolution was hard to see the connections. I think you can see some of the stuff more like in the layouts or some of the objects because everything is completely different from his superhero days. And I suppose he had more time away from comics than anybody else. I think the same would have. Mazzucchelli's situation is more similar to Jack Katz, because Jack Katz was out of comics for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I actually am not that familiar with his 50s output. But there was a way to draw in the 50s that had nothing to do with what he did in the First Kingdom. There was no way he was drawing like that in the 50s.
The visuals of Asterius Polyp and Daredevil Born Again have almost nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think they were drawn by the same guy.
Mm-hmm. No, what I could tell, there were a couple of ways of setting up the scene, but otherwise because the characters are completely different.
I don't even know if we can describe that as an evolution as opposed to just getting there because it's so different.
Mm-hmm. Never seen a metamorphosis like that.
Yeah.
Even the European guys, they don't do that. Even if they have to switch between humor and action adventure, and they kind of have a different style when they're doing humor and action adventure. But they don't change that much. Then what they have is after 40 years, this is how they draw humor and this is how they draw action adventure. So, or City of
Or
Glass.
indeed City of Glass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out somebody else that since last week we talked about Matt Wagner. Matt Wagner evolved a lot.
Yes. Well, he could have gotten better. I mean, I think the difference difference between evolved and got better, I'm trying to put it into words.
Yeah, okay.
I think evolved is you've got a bunch of different stages.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a through line. You've got a bunch of different stages of your work, and your work at the beginning looks different in each stage.
Mm-hmm.
Got better means that it, of course, looks different of each stage, but it still looks kind of the same.
Right. Well, Matt Wagner's not trying to draw pretty.
Right.
He tried to do that more in the 80s, up to the 90s. Now he doesn't care if he draws pretty. In the current Grendel arc, when he got back to Earth, and it's about the vampires again. So he's not trying to draw pretty. It's a slightly different way of drawing than what he was doing when Grendel Prime was off in space. And then you have Batman and the Monster Man where he draws prettier, but it's not the same as when he was drawing the original Grendel or the 80s Demon miniseries.
but I think I don't think he's changed his approach to drawing that much. He's just gotten, he has made different choices, like you said, with the prettiness, but he's gotten better at it. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know. Maybe there's people who are in the middle.
The ultimate non-evolver was Kurt Swan, an Iron Man of consistency. Yeah. Absolutely, Kurt Swan.
Those were guys who were drawing on model.
Mm-hmm. But I can't stand Kurt Swan because of it. We've made the comparison here with that issue, the first Jim Shooter issue of the Legion, because Swan is using Shooter's layouts, and the storytelling's a lot better for it because Shooter was trying to set up the layouts by copying Jack Kirby, and when Kurt Swan has he doesn't have movement. It is that the action flowing from one panel to the other.
Kurt Swan is one of those guys. I always found his work so boring. Mm-hmm. But when I saw the originals in person, and especially his pencils, they're beautiful.
Sure.
I mean, I may not like it to read it in a comic, but to like look at it on a museum wall, holy cow, they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. Way more beautiful than I would have expected from me finding it so boring looking at it on the page. And his pencils really are nice. Art can be weird like that.
Yeah, sure, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that's not there to be pretty. You know that a lot of people found Kirby's art. I know I've met people who think that Kirby in the 70s was ugly.
Yeah, I heard that too. I always liked it.
Kirby in the 70s is the best storytelling that Kirby ever did.
Yeah, I liked it. And another thing I got out of the library that I just read today.
Well, where can we see Swan pencils?
I don't know where there used to be a museum called the Museum of Cartoon Art in Westchester that I got to go and see his pen. I also got to see the original art from Superman in the 40s. That was beautiful. Stuff I thought was boring on the page looked beautiful in person. And I think I've seen some of his pencils reproduced in various magazines, but I haven't. And I think I went to an art show once with my friend Ed in the 90s where we saw his pencils. But I don't know. I can't point you to a regular place to see them. I don't know if that exists. But they were beautiful. I got this out of the library, and I think I stole it because it didn't show up on my receipt. And I think the gates beeped as I was walking out. There's just so many beeps in life. I pay no attention to them. But this is Peter Cooper, Kafka-esque. He's adapting short stories by Kafka. And he's doing them on scratchboard so that they look like woodcuts. And I think there's 14 stories, it says, in all. I have not read a ton of Peter Cooper. He's one of those guys who I've known who he is for decades, but I've just never read much of his work. And this was some good stuff. Most of the Kafka stories are really short, too. They're almost like narrative poems more than stories, because some of them are like 3 or 4 pages. This last one is long. And it was a nice read. This is definitely one I want to go and look through and spend some more time with. Because it's interesting stuff. I've never read, besides comic book versions, I've never read Kafka. I think Crumb did some Kafka too. I have read Crumb's Kafka.
Crumb is one guy that Crumb is a guy that it looks like he came out fully formed. Because when I read Crumb, I have no idea when that particular story was made.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's got that graphomania style, like his brother. who had actual graphomania, I think. Couldn't stop drawing lines.
Like those Cooper Kafka stories, Robert Crumbles. Yeah.
Yeah, those ones were good. I very much enjoy. I'll have to. I don't know if I bought the Crumb one or borrowed it. I think I bought it, so it might be. I'm really gonna have to inventory my books. I have all my comic books inventoried, but not the collected edition. Somehow I wouldn't write down when I got a book. It was like, so I just have shelves of collected editions, and who knows what's on some of them.
I think it's easier for me to put ID tags on all of the collected editions than it is on anything else.
Well, I used to use this little, piece of shareware called Books that you could just use your camera to scan the UPC. But then they stopped making it. And it was like, oh, that was all pointless, wasn't it? Which is why I always used to use FileMaker Pro for my comic book. I would never use like dedicated comic book software. Because what if it goes away? All my entries, and now I use Mac Numbers, which is their version of Excel. Because it's like I don't want to enter all my comics in CLZ and then have to pay a subscription to see my comics or have it go away. Because that's what happened with that one. Not that I spent a ton of time doing it. I just scanned some UPCs every now and then, but it became useless after a while because shareware wasn't made anymore and unsupported.
Yeah.
But there's other UPC scanning software, but I haven't bothered with any of it. Someday I will.
Well, you can put the barcode. You can search with the barcode number, with the UPC number on the Grand Comics database. And since now I think the Grand Comics database they were kind of jealous that CBDB and stuff and CLZ app and stuff like that started appearing, and they became a lot more popular because they were made for collectors, and the GCD was not.
Right.
So they reinvented themselves a few years ago to try to make the website more appealing and the information available more appealing to collectors, and still it wasn't enough. Which, and the stupid part is that by trying to turn every element into a database, they made it harder to find some specific information, especially when it comes to characters, because now they spend a lot of time with this is a character from universe so and so from shut up. That's not what it's there for. And that put all the characters appearing in an issue are now automatically in alphabetical order. And when the information submitter did not bother writing a synopsis for the story, I would understand from the characters what was going on, because the characters that were important to the story appeared first. Those that had cameos or just being set up for a future issue, they were at the bottom, and I would understand. And now they're all A, B, C, and now I don't get it. So it's a little bit harder. And since I'm trying to map stuff myself, especially at Marvel, it makes it harder for me to. Because one of the things I do when I'm doing my maps for the superhero stories, I have a notation for versus so and so. And since now I don't know if the character appears there, especially the villain, if the villain appears in the story because he's fighting the hero, or because it's a subplot being set up for the next issue.
Let's see. I'll show another comic book. Hopefully Wilson is faring well. He made it to San Diego. We know that.
He's probably eating fish tacos right now.
The Beauty #7. I've been watching the TV show too. And so along with volume 2 here, I think they're not following the TV show at all. The TV show is not quite following the comic. But in this issue, we find out a little bit behind one of the guys who I guess invented the beauty. And he has to meet with his two sisters who he doesn't, some rich guy that he doesn't get along with, some old rich guy who's now young. And of course they betray him and all sorts of stuff goes on. So this I'm enjoying this volume 2 of the beauty a whole lot. Jeremy Juan is writing it. He also drew this cover. Who's the artist? Jason A. Hurley with no, pardon me. This is written by Jeremy Juan and Jason A. Hurley, with art by Emanuela Lapacino, colored by Leonardi Passierati, and lettered by And World Design. So there's our creative team. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Ignition Press always gives you a tiny little wraparound. Mm-hmm. As well as they give the credits on the back too, along with a little. So a decent back, and I have no idea what that number is still. Still zero idea what that number is.
Didn't you ask them?
No, I don't know. I don't know anybody there at Ignition Press.
Who's the editor?
Let's see. The editor is. Cover edited by Jamie S. Rich. Assistant editing by Nora Ornstein. And they're in Los Angeles. The beauty. The TV show's been good. What's his name finally made an appearance in like episode 3. The guy from that 70s show, who I didn't know was in the beauty. Well, what's his name? The model?
I don't know. Oh, Fabio. No?
The good-looking one from that 70s show.
I don't remember that 70s show.
You don't remember that 70s? He's famous. You'd recognize him. I can't even. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now, but I can. But you know who he is. He's the big name in the show. And what's funny is oh God, the guy who plays the Kingpin. There we go.
Vincent
Ashton Kutcher.
Oh.
The guy who plays the Kingpin from Full Metal Jacket. I can't remember anyone's name.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio plays Ashton Kutcher before he got the beauty. So Vincent D'Onofrio is the character who's behind things, and then he gets the beauty, and he's Ashton Kutcher.
Okay.
The punked guy. Jamie Rich was at Vertigo once upon a time. Okay.
Yeah, and I never watched the punked either. Wasn't he the guy that replaced Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men?
I don't remember. I never watched 2.5 Men, but you might be right there.
Yeah, because they fired Charlie Sheen because he was being Charlie Sheen again.
Yep. He was drinking his tiger's blood and fighting angels or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's a verb now, Charlie Sheen.
But the beauty, it's funny because the first volume of the Beauty was almost an anthology, and it would change genres at times, and it was all about the beauty and their effect on society. And then the TV show, the first like 2 or 3 episodes seemed to be more like a linear TV show, but then they kind of switched gears and gave us a look behind some of the characters and how the beauty affected their lives. So it's like it kind of turned into not quite an anthology, but similar to the comic, completely different stories in the comic book, but some sort of similar to it.
They replaced immediately with Scumbag. Yeah.
There you go.
There are a few guys from that from what this was what early 2000s that are kind of irrelevant for me. Like when I first heard of Johnny Knoxville, okay, what's this guy's thing? That's it. Why
Oh,
is he famous?
if you've never watched those Jackass movies, they're hysterical.
Uh,
Watch one time. They are crazy funny just because they're nuts and doing nutty stunts.
mm,
I mean, there's no art to the comedy in terms of, it's not writing. It's let's come up with this crazy idea and pull it off. And it really is funny.
mm.
But not in the way a movie is normally funny.
Okay. I'd rather watch Mythbusters.
No, trust. Just check it out one time. I didn't think I'd like it either.
I saw Johnny Knoxville when they did that remake of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was a full feature film. They had Willie Nelson played Uncle Jesse and what's the guy? Burt Reynolds played Boss Hogg.
And Jessica Simpson was in it too, right?
Yeah, she played Daisy.
Because I think I saw her in Bryant in like 04 and 05 when they used to have the Bryant Park Summer Concert Series on Fridays, and I was going into Marvel. I would stop by the park and watch whatever act they had. And I think Jessica Simpson, dressed as Daisy Duke, sang a song or two.
Yeah. Yeah, and Johnny Knoxville played one of the Duke boys. I can't remember which one.
He played, let's see, Luke. Bo is the blonde and Luke is the brunette. So he probably played Luke.
Right.
I watched the first season of Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid and loved it, and tried to watch the second season and was like, I think I was just at that age where I was too old for it, man. Because it probably came out when I was in high school, and I watched like one season. I was 14 and loved it. Then I was 15 and way too cynical.
The first season I saw it when I was 5 or 6. So
yeah, if you see it at that age, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, all the kids in school loved the
my nephew loved that when he was that age. Mm-hmm. The Duke boys, Bo and Luke Duke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the difference between the first season and the second season is that they replaced the cop, because there was
Enos?
one. Yeah,
he went off and got his own show.
Right. Because I think Enos was kind of friendly towards the Dukes, but then they replaced him with Roscoe's nephew. And then
Coltrane.
Yeah, and his dog Flash.
Matter of fact, the Enos show was a small town cop in the big city show. I don't think it lasted more than 6 episodes.
Great. It's been so good it didn't last the whole season.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of only watched the first 2 seasons. I think maybe the third one was the one where they replaced the main characters.
I don't know. I didn't watch that.
Yeah, by that time, because they showed the first 2 seasons here. Then I saw it many years later on Sky One, and I was about 11 or 12. And then Rupert Murdoch decided that only British people could watch Sky One, so I stopped watching.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the beauty stream?
I don't know. I may have got it by other methods. So I'm not sure where it's actually streaming from. I watched it on Plex. And a new comic, another Corpse Night, issue 4 of 5. This one's been solid, but not spectacular. I like the art by Matthew Roberts, who is from Manifest Destiny. This is about the little girl whose father died, and then he crawled out of the grave to save her. There she is, being choked by some knights. So her father's like this zombie who's protecting her, but he's also a monster and killing the wrong people too. So she's going to find Joan of Arc so Joan can kill her. Can kill her so that Joan can save him. But unfortunately, at the end, Joan kills him. There's Joan of Arc. I have no idea. Next issue is our last issue. I have no idea what's going to happen. But the little girl, this is what her father looks like. Where is he now? There we go. So Joan of Arc was like, that's not from heaven, that's from hell. Kill him. So then they killed him in front of the little girl. So I don't know what's going to happen in that last issue. But it's been a solid little mini, a solid B.
I don't think zombies have any place in historical fiction.
I don't know that he's actually a zombie. There's no... He's just somebody who came out of his grave to save his little girl, but he's not a person. But he doesn't act like a zombie. He's not going brains and trying to bite people. He's just protecting his little girl and killing people who want to kill the monster because he's freaking a scary monster.
Okay, so in the case, I think he's a ghoul.
Yeah, it could be a ghoul. And he came out of he went into and came out of this forest where there's a lot of supernatural monsters in it. So he's not particularly well liked by the people who live in and near the forest. That was last issue, I think. So I don't know if there's a name for him. Video outlaw. Yeah. I pay so much money for streaming and cable that I'm like,
I don't stream anything. Yeah, I already pay for cable, and you want me to pay extra to watch some TV show? No, thanks.
Well, actually, I'm actually on my sister's streaming, so I shouldn't say I pay for that, but they do. Though I pay for Amazon Prime, so that one's...
Yeah, I don't even bother. Ultimately, there's nothing that I'm interested in. I've been watching some more spaghetti westerns.
I've just watched a couple episodes of the last season of The Boys this week. That's what I was watching. I don't know if you've seen any of The Boys.
No.
But the reason so many people think that Homelander is the hero of The Boys is because it's all about him. The Boys comic book, I don't know if you've ever read it.
Not interested.
It's not about Homelander. Homelander is the villain in the comic book.
Sure.
In the TV show, he may not be heroic, but he's the sort of anti-hero. I don't know. Because I hear people saying, oh, conservatives don't get that Homelander is the villain of The Boys. I'm like, that's because I don't know if he is. He certainly acts villainous a lot of time. But since so much of the show is actually about him, and the comic book of The Boys, the name The Boys comes from, Butcher named them that because when the superheroes get out of line, they're the boys you have to call in to take down the superheroes. There was a little of that at the beginning of The Boys, but none of the boys, except for the female, had superpowers. In the comic book, they had superpowers, not Homelander level superpowers, but they had superpowers and knew how to use them so they could take out these rogue superheroes. That was what it was about. Superheroes start misbehaving, you call in the boys. But the TV show is more about Homelander. He's got a much bigger role.
Yeah, I don't think outsiders would understand how Garth Ennis writes superheroes.
Yeah. And he is certainly written like a villain, but he's not presented like it's kind of like Rorschach. He's supposed to be, you're not supposed to like Rorschach. But when he's the guy who's powerful and able to impose his will, people like that. People are trying. We wish we were superheroes who didn't have to listen to the jerk, who's our boss, or whoever. We wish we were Rorschach, even though we're not supposed to like him. He's literally supposed to be smelly. You're supposed to not want to be around him because he smells bad, but we can't smell him in a comic book. And I think there's a little bit of that to Homelander, too, where he's supposed to be the villain, but you're like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool to be Homelander and not have to listen to all these annoying people? Do whatever you want? So there's an attractiveness to him, too.
Sure. Although I think the Boys, the comic came out before there was Mark Waid's Irredeemable and that thing that Mark Miller did with the Reverse Batman. What was it? So those came after the Boys, but Mark Waid's had it, but on TV we've had so many heroes who turned out to be villains that I don't think they knew how to react to what the Boys was supposed to be.
Yeah, and often like the visuals tell a different story than the story being told, like on the surface. When the story being told is everybody's afraid of Homelander and he's a little bit of a wild card and he might kill you, but visually the story is, ooh, this guy is strong and powerful and gets things done and doesn't have to put up with jerks. So it's like those things can contradict each other. And some people pay more attention to the visual story than the one that's in front of them being told. Another comic I got this week, another issue #1, that didn't quite do it for me, though I like the cover. Another Ignition Press book, Sicko. Oops. There's a little wraparound on the cover. Let's see who's doing this one. Written by Tini Howard, Tini. I think that's Tini. Illustrated by Amilcar Pina, Pinna. Colored by Amanda Grazzini. Lettered by Ariana Mayer. There's our creative team. And the main problem I have with this is there was no story. In trying to describe this, we have a woman. I like next to, I might read one more issue because I like that cover too. Who did these covers? Cover by Amilcar Pina. Who did this cover? Amilcar Pina. Okay, same artist as inside. I like her covers, or his covers. I don't know what kind of name Amilcar is.
Amilcar, it's a Carthaginian name.
Carthaginian? Whoa, yeah. You pulled that one out of nowhere.
No, I think he was the son or grandson of Hannibal.
Ah, Carthaginian.
Yes.
You know what kind of name Pina is? Pinna?
It's probably Italian.
Okay. Yeah, everybody else seems to be Italian. But the main story is, here's this woman who's not feeling well. She goes into the hospital. They can't figure out what's wrong with her. They don't really know. She's all mad that they can't figure out what's wrong with her. And it besides her own immune system is attacking her. Then it turns out she can have her immune system attack you. So she can just go, bleh, and like, I don't know, special effects come out of her and go into you and you get sick. So the hospital who was trying to treat her so she's mad at the hospital. And there's guys in hazmat suits trying to track her down. She doesn't want. So it's like her versus the hospital. But no one's really treating her, besides not being able to figure out what's wrong with her, and being generally nobody wants to be in the hospital. There's no real villain here so far. There's no story. It's just her fighting with people in the hospital. And one of the nurses, who's a dude, is trying to be nice to her. And this one doctor is scared of her, and the doctor's in a hazmat suit all the time. So this woman doesn't like the doctor in the It's like, is there a story here? There was just not much to it, was my main problem. But I liked the cover. The art was fine. If there was more to it, I might have liked it better.
Mm-hmm. Maybe if she was fighting clowns in the hospital as well.
I don't know. What. How do your superpower is you feel bad, but then you can throw your immune system on other people to make them feel bad. I don't get it. There just didn't seem to be a story there.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, the medical system is not screwed up. Sleepy's never had cable in his life, and he's an old guy.
No, he's trying to be all alternative and stuff.
Nah.
It's cable TV is too mainstream.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we didn't used to have cable until the early 2000s. If we wanted to watch more than 2 channels, we'd get a satellite dish, and then we could watch foreign shows without subtitles in languages that we did not understand. Yeah. No, at the time we got a German TV channel called RTL Plus, which is very famous. A lot of people watch it, but I didn't feel like watching the cartoons in German without subtitles, because they dub stuff instead of having subtitles like we do. So after the A-Team in German, Knight Rider in German, no thanks.
Yeah. Let's see, another comic for this week that has been good, Excommunicated.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who did this one. Writer-creator Jeremy Robinson, artist Tiago Palma, colorist Manuel J. Rodriguez, letterer Jim Campbell. And this is the one that's about she was a nun in the first issue. She got excommunicated because she was helping with a exorcism that she wasn't supposed to be helping with, it turned out. But she was set up. So now the demon she was exorcising is teaming up with her, even though she doesn't want to team up. There she is. The demon takes over her form. It gives her superpowers to see who set them up, because the demon was set up too, and he doesn't like it. And she was apparently set up. So they're trying to figure out what happened. There's the demon and a dog. So it's a fun story. There's her friend who's got a demon in him. So it's been a fun story. Vault Comics horror, humor horror. So I like that one.
SBPT does not have cable.
Aha.
TDT is where we now have to pay the government to access terrestrial channels, because the antennas don't function anymore. So it's a form of basic cable where you pay to access PBS.
Well, being that I'm in the Hudson Valley, antennas never worked around here. When I was a kid, you had to have an antenna on the roof or you were no good. Those little antennas on the TVs did nothing. I never rented from a video store.
Oh, I did in the 80s.
I never did. I watched whatever was on HBO.
Yeah. So Sleepy was one of the last people to go to Blockbuster. Summers in the Catskills in the mid-'80s. Spaceballs for nerds and nerds on HBO. There's going to be a new Spaceballs.
Those were two I was never fans of. Spaceballs. I saw them both on HBO, probably more than once.
Yeah,
but they were never a huge fan of either.
Did any Canadian cable show up anywhere in the States?
I don't think so. The Red Green Show showed up in like the early 2000s.
Define Canadian. Is it one of those things that are recorded in Canada to save money, or
Vancouver, Hollywood, North, and Vancouver?
Yeah, or were they really Canadians and all the actions in Canada? I do remember seeing some Quebec kids shows. They were live action, but they were kids shows. I can't remember what it was about though. Oh yeah, it was some sort of the kids having a Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew type adventures. The premise was that a guy moved from Paris to Montreal with his teenage son to marry a woman from Quebec with a teenage daughter, and then they don't like each other, but then they start going on adventures together. No, not very good.
Huh.
Yeah, but Channel 4 Series, the Channel 4 News, and the Vintage Channel.
There you go.
The Channel 4 Series and the Vintage Channel are the same one.
The only thing I watch live on TV are football games. Mostly the Giants.
There was a video store run by a minor rock guy in my neighborhood, which lasted way past all the others. Kids in the Hall, Degrassi. We got CBC from.
Degrassi was on PBS.
Degrassi was Canadian?
Yeah, Degrassi's Canadian.
Yeah, I remember that Degrassi was on TV somewhere that I had on satellite, so I guess it was on Sky One, but I never watched it.
I can't remember what the Kids in the Hall was on. Was that on HBO or something? I was not a Kids in the Hall fan, though.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either.
Another comic I got this week was the final issue of Narco.
Huh.
They wrapped it up nicely as the kid who has narcolepsy was going up against the serial killer. I won't give away the ending, but his friends helped him out. And this is the team of Wagner and Hilliard, who this is. They do... I got Plush by them, and I was a fashion school serial killer, and Vinyl, and the 2 volumes of Plastic. It's known as the Plastic Verse now, that these two guys... And there's always a serial killer in each story. Though I did just order... what are their names? Doug Wagner and Daniel Hilliard. Dave Stewart on the colors, Ed Dukeshire, the letterer. Though I did just order the first issue of some other book written by Doug Wagner with another artist. I'm like, I don't think I've ever read anything by Doug Wagner that hasn't been drawn by Daniel Hilliard. So I look forward to that. But by the way, we were on HBO. Okay, that's where I saw it. But I only watched a little of Kids in the Hall.
That going at PBS Boston and Rochester and what? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Kids in the Hall. You know what? And I don't know why this bothered me about Kids in the Hall. Is that they used to dress up in drag all the time, sort of like Monty Python did. Except in the Kids in the Hall, they seemed to do it too well, and that made it less funny to me. Like when Monty Python dressed up in drag, it was just absurd. When the Kids in the Hall dressed up in drag, they kind of put the effort in. and did it well. And somehow I found that not funny.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
I don't know why, but that's all. But I haven't seen it in so long. I might find it funny today. You never know, because that's 26-year-old Jared's opinion, who doesn't even remember the show anymore.
Yeah, because I never think about Canadian shows because all of the successful stuff made by Canadians is made in the U.S. All the famous Canadians work in the U.S.
Law and Order Toronto. I've been watching that one for a few years.
Jesus.
There is a Law and Order Toronto.
Amazing. I don't watch any Law and Orders anymore.
That's because you can't get Law and Order Toronto. Otherwise, you would.
Law and Order Los Angeles was not very good.
I never watched that one.
I never saw Law and Order London.
This is. I watched an episode of it. It was a Law and Order Toronto is Law and Order Criminal Intent Toronto. So it's more like Law and Order Criminal Intent, which was my favorite of the Law and Orders.
Yeah, so they're going after rich Canadians.
And it's starring sort of a genius, a little disturbed detective like Vincent D'Onofrio was.
Crime and
Disorder.
Well, if they were to do Law and Order again in London, the cops would not be allowed to arrest anybody.
And let's see. Issue 3, I think this one's only going 4, of Dog Tags by Mark Russell, writer, P.J. Holden, pencils and inks, J.P. Jordan, colors, Buddy Bedouin, letterer. And this one's a straight-up war comic now. This one could be a little more modern than a Sergeant Rock from the early 80s. It's war is hell. Because it started with, like, our lead character is a journalist. And the first issue, he was the distraction for D-Day. So he was pretending that the invasion was coming from someplace else. Then the second issue was more of a war comic where they put him in, because he was an officer, they put him in charge of a platoon and sent him into France. And this one, he's in Battle of the Bulge, Bastogne. So he's in the Ardennes. And it's a war comic. Well done. I enjoyed it. But like I said, the first issue was kind of a twist on a war comic. This one's a war comic. There's only one more issue of it, I believe. But it's good stuff from Mad Cave.
And when the Europeans do a lot of war comics, but when they do, they try to make it like cinema verite. Make sure that you see all of man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's probably what this is. Like there's one scene in it that's particularly poignant where they're mentioning that in Bastogne in the forest, because of the fog, the Germans were creeping up on the Americans, and their foxholes were like right in it. If you jumped into a foxhole, you might find a German in there and not an American. That's how close they were, and they were. And at one point, he jumps in, and there's a German in the foxhole, and he gets the drop on him and shoots the German in the chest with a Luger, by the way, and a German gun that he gets. And of course, the German just collapses, and he's like, "Can I have a cigarette?" Because he knows he's dying. So there's one of those scenes you've seen in war movies where these two guys don't even want to be fighting; they're just on opposite sides. Now one of them's dying, and he pulls off his dog tag and says, "Can you give this to my mother?" And the guy's like, "Yes, I'll get it to your mother." So it was like, well done, but a war comic scene, a war movie scene kind of thing. A war is hell scene.
The Beachcombers, the original Canadian superheroes. Or is that Canadian surf? You can surf in Canada.
Mr. Dress Up, the Friendly Giant? Those must be Kids in the Hall skits.
When I was at school at Sault Ste. Marie, we got hockey night in Our comics are tough to get excited about beyond a certain point.
Yeah. Because they're war as hell.
Sure.
And as they say, every realistic war story is an anti-war story. Though I was just reading a little story today about, I think this happened in 2017, when it was a World War II veteran, U.S. veteran, in the theater near Japan, I forget which one, came across a Japanese soldier who had died. No wounds on him. It was the concussion from a mortar that killed him. And he had a flag on him. So a Japanese flag signed by a whole bunch of people. So he took the flag as a war trophy. And then when he was like 87 in 2017, he decided to find out who the flag belonged to and return it. And he found out, because it was signed by a bunch of people from his village, signed the flag and gave it to him. And someone who knew Japanese could translate it. And they found out there were still like 3 people left alive who signed the flag. So he flew the flag to the family, who never even knew how their grandfather, ancestor died. So he was the first one who was able to tell them what happened to him, because he just never came home. He was able to tell them it was a mortar that killed him. So he returned the flag to the family. I was like, there's a war story for you, with an ending 50 years later or something. More than 50. What is it? 40. I think they said it happened in 43. 53, 63, 73, 83, 93, 03, 13, 70 something, 75 years later. How to do some quick finger math. But yeah, it is tough to get excited about war stories beyond a certain point. Canadian kid shows. Okay. Mr. Dress Up. That sounds like a fun show.
Now, I've heard of you can't do that on television, because I saw a bunch of skits on YouTube a few years ago. But that said, of course, it was never on TV here. Although it might have been interesting if they started showing that here way after the fact, and with a young Alanis Morissette. Dr. Dress Up taught me to draw.
Dr. Dress Up? He got his doctorate after he was Mr. Dress Up? First he was Mr. Dress Up, then he went back to school and got a doctorate in dressing up.
No, doctorate
in fashion.
My real favorite Canadian TV show was Stargate SG-1.
Murdoch Mysteries? Stolen Valor. He starts calling himself Dr. Dress Up.
Fake PhD.
Let's see, the last comic I got this week. I think this is the last one. Mind Management. New and this is my favorite Matt Kint comic, is his Mind Management. It's just so full of interesting ideas.
So it's a new volume?
New volume. It's an ongoing. There's these. I think our lead characters this time. The one guy can tell stuff from smells. This is the other. This is the other woman's powers. What are they? She's got pupil of distraction causes short-term memory loss. Blood knuckles causes bleeding through pores. Elbow of deceit can either force lies or elicit truth. The knees of doom cause incontinence. And the foot of arrows creates sexual confusion. So those are her sort of powers. And then there's this guy. Where is he? Oh, this is who they were up against. This guy who's sort of a zombie. He's part of the. Your target will not run. Has been living raised in the Dutch death cult, the Dood sect, Dood. He lives to consume flesh. His greatest dream is to simply die. You'll be doing him a favor. But these guys, on their own, they're nothing. When they get together, I guess that's when they get more powerful. So when a whole bunch of them show up, they wreck things. The Dood sect. So it's
The
just...
The dude does not abide.
Oh, and there's the guy. His superpower is he can tell the origin of stuff from their smell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Matt Kint spycraft stories that are just so fun. Have you read Mind Management?
No.
Give it a read sometime. It's a lot of fun.
I'll try. Although that girl had Count Dante had nothing on her.
Count Dante. Yeah. The Elbow of Doom.
Yeah,
Corner Gas. I've seen that one. Yeah. He reads Savage Dragon a lot. Most of the comics he's reading are folded over Savage Dragons. You rarely get to see the cover.
Letterkenny and Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, that's Canadian. It was weird, Trailer Park Boys. I couldn't really get into it. There was the guy who didn't wear a shirt. Can't remember what happened in Mind Management in the last series. Feels we start over each time. Variations on the concept.
Yeah. I think the last one ended with, what was the lead character's name? I think she ended up taking down Mind Management, but then it started over. Either she started over again or it started over again with someone else. So like it didn't disappear. And then the last miniseries we had was different people drawing stories. That was a whole other thing. So I think Mind Management is back, but they're not as big. Because they had their fingers in every pie. And there was some rogue person took it over. And sort of was the rogue person was the one guiding Mind Management. And I think she took out the rogue person. But Mind Management wasn't destroyed, but it went underground and was smaller. Meru, that was her name. Meru. But yeah, the stories are so convoluted. There's no reason to keep track of them. They're fun to just follow along with. Because there's so much weird spycraft going on and weird superpowers and people who can erase memories. And
Does it have a lot of different characters popping out of nowhere?
A lot of different characters, what?
Popping out of nowhere?
Popping out of nowhere. Yeah, there's so many, because it's like they're a spy agency. So there's spies everywhere. It's like James Bond meeting some new spy somewhere. But they've got weird powers. And there are people who can make themselves invisible to everyone else, who can pull the strings behind the scenes. And there are those people exist. You just can't necessarily see them if you look for them. But if you don't look for them, you might be able to see them. And like there's so much strangeness going on.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. But okay.
It's good stuff. I want to reread the whole volume one of these days. That's another one that's on the reread list. But I still haven't gotten to my Star Slayers yet. Or all those. That also reminds me. All those Fireflies I got. There's a new Firefly series coming out in a month in September.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, since I bought all those old ones this winter, 4 years later, maybe I'll actually buy new ones.
It's going to be. They're restarting the show, aren't they?
They're doing a animated version.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose because a lot of them would be now too old to be believable action heroes. Kafka meets James Bond.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of strangeness going on. Matter of fact, they probably have a character named Kafka in there somewhere.
Remember Automatic Kafka? I've never read it.
I remember the name. I don't think I've ever read it either.
Yeah, because I think it was kind of famous or among certain people for a while. I mean, I'm not saying it was super famous, but
was that an 80s book or a 90s book?
It's a Vertigo.
The Vertigo book. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably why I ignored it, but I remember the name. Because I ignored most Vertigo books. Except for Dead Enders, then I was disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not supposed to buy every Vertigo book. You're supposed
to.
Oh,
I know. I just bought Dead Enders because it was a Brubaker book before he became famous, Ed Brubaker. And I was a fan of his back then. So I was like, oh, cool, a Brubaker book coming from Vertigo. It was just bland. I was like, oh, it was probably like the one Ed Brubaker book that I didn't like. Like I even read like his Death of Captain America stuff was fine.
Beginning of 2000s, yeah. Yeah, it probably was about 2000, maybe 2001. But I never got into it.
If it was the early 2000s, I probably ignored it because I thought Vertigo was just trying to be hip, working Kafka's name into the title of the book. Completely judged it without ever knowing anything about it.
Pull 3 books off the shelf for a live raw read, rip, and slab. I'm not sure that's going to work. It's not very practical, but let's see what we can do here. All right, so let's see.
What does he have for us?
What do I have here?
Be tough to rip a hardcover.
Oh yeah. Okay, can I do this, I guess. What else? Something completely different. I'm going to go with something completely different on all of the.
And now for something completely different. A man with 3 buttocks.
More.
I see some Marvel spines.
Yeah, let's. Well, we don't have a Marvel here, so let's see what I can do. Marvel.
That big red N.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's do this.
What does he have for us? Punisher.
The Punisher returned to Big Nothing, reprinting 3 Punisher graphic novels.
3? Ooh.
Superman and Batman Generations by John Byrne and Elseworlds Throughout Time. As the characters get old but never die, even 1,000 years later. And Warren Ellis' Ignition City, the Warren Ellis comic that nobody likes. Let's see if I can show all 3 at once. Probably not.
Well, I'm going to read Ignition City.
Mm-hmm.
Slab Generations, because it's got a cover that's cool, which means I'm going to have to rip the Punisher.
Rip the Punisher. Is that a little bit too obvious? Ripping the Punisher? What if this is the good Punisher?
I don't know.
There are good Punisher stories, you know.
Oh, there are. No doubt. I have read some good Punisher stories.
And you're going to slap what's probably the worst cover of of all three.
I still like it.
Yeah,
At least there's some thought behind that. Punisher cover is way worse than that one.
Yeah, it's because Return to Big Nothing is one of the 3 graphic novels that is reprints, and it's this cover. And you're going to try reading the Warren
I'm
Ellis
going to
comic.
read the Warren Ellis that nobody likes because I generally like Warren Ellis's stuff, so there might be a chance I like it.
Well, do you like Buck Rogers?
Yeah.
And so there's no Buck Rogers, but there's a Buck Rogers.
I have a big edition of Buck Rogers Sunday strips that don't even have Buck Rogers in them. That's very good. It just started.
Eric's going to read the Punisher's Slab Generations and rip the Ellis book. And Tip Collin is going to read the Batman Superman, rip the Punisher, and slab Ignition City. He has the Punisher. Right. Yeah, if you're going to read Punisher, you could do a lot of work. Because here's the thing. Since these are 3 graphic novels, all the stories end. And, well, it's a bit like if you're watching 3 action movies from the 80s and 90s back to back with the same character. All 3 Rambo movies at once. Although one of these stories is starred by Jorge Zafino, which is not an easy.
Oh, we got some dolphins and flamingos here too.
Oh yeah, so Dolphin, one of the Batmans, the Generations cover, and Flamingos watching the Punisher.
I think we can put the flamingo right on the gun of the Punisher, looking back at him, like on the end of the barrel of the gun, right in front of Return to Big Nothing. So the flamingo and the Punisher are staring at each other.
Or since all the characters in Ignition City are looking at the sky, we can have the flamingos on top of their heads, also looking at the sky.
I want a dolphin in a jetpack.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. Let's dolphin the jetpack.
He'll fit right in. Dolphin in a jetpack.
Yes. Well, since Eric wants to dolphin one of the Batmans, or we could dolphin one of the Superman.
But the dolphin has to be wearing the cowl. The mask.
What if we dolphin the Punisher's gun? Once in a while, every comic fan should read a Punisher comic.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Read one.
He's going to read Punisher, Slab Ignition City, and Rip Generations. Does French censors allow guns on covers? I think we have
another fun. Another dolphin the gun.
There's plenty of gun covers in Blueberry. Dolphin in a jetpack sounds like a Savage Driver.
No doubt.
Best Punisher story, the one where he's 80 and the only remaining humans are political leaders and billionaires.
I don't know that one.
No,
Which one is Return to Big Nothing? I remember that title.
Yeah, because he goes back to Vietnam.
Okay.
And it's also by Stephen Grant and Mike Zeck.
Return to Mike Zeck.
Yeah, so it's sort of an official sequel to the miniseries. So there we go, Mike Zeck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Was that a graphic novel? Return to Big Nothing?
Yeah, and it was an epic graphic novel.
An epic graphic novel. Wonder if I have that. I don't think I do. I'm remembering it for some reason. I'll have to look in my Marvel graphic novel section. I have no idea what's there.
But the original cover, so this is the cover, but the original cover is this one.
Oh, yeah. I remember that cover. I think it was made into a poster, too.
Mm-hmm. The second story is Punisher Intruder. No, it's the third story. The second story is the Assassin's Guild. So this is the one with the Jorge Zafino art.
Ooh.
Of course,
Kit Goblin says, I think it's an Elseworld story, and it's called Old Frank or something. Guess that's the one where Punisher gets old. I don't remember that.
Yes. Oh, it's Old Man Castle. So it's like Old Man Logan in the Old Man Hawkeye.
Yeah. Once Old Man Logan was a hit, they did Old Man Everyone. So
yeah, exactly. They did an Old Man Star Lord. And this is the cover to Intruder. This one's by Mac Barron and Bill Reynolds.
Okay. The big nothing. Well, we should let Paolo get to bed.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be on my channel next week.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
All right. So thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, which is something that I never remind people to do. You can find Jared's and Wilson's links in the description.
And Wilson should be back next week with Tales of the San Diego Comic-Con.
And fish tacos for everyone.
Yay!
Say goodnight, Gracie.